Hey everybody, it's me, Tracy Pinkhammer, with our new show. Well, it's not a new show. It's actually the grand reopening of the Entrepreneur Pinks and Blues show with our special guest today, RAH-1. RAH is a producer of comedy skits, comedy shows. He's also a clothing designer, designing fabulous t-shirts. I've seen some of his work. And he has a full-time job, and he is a full-time father figure, as you could tell, or not father figure, but family man. He's not a figure. He's the real thing. Okay, everybody? I am so happy to have him here. I think we're going to start off. Tell everybody hello.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there? Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Tracy.
Anytime. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. I think we're going to start the show off with one of his skits, his short movies or his short films, correct?
Yeah, we'll play one of the skits.
Yeah.
All right. So let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Y'all be ready to laugh.
Okay. We're going to pull it up and see how this goes. You should be in your the bottom of your screen now if you want to try to pull it up.
We live in a time where women love to be out at night on their phones, not paying attention. Lucky for them, there's a hero that's paying attention for them.
Give him his little food or feed him one of his purees or something.
Really? We're there. Tomorrow is Atlanta. Yeah, I want to go. And I'm going. You're going right.
Bruh.
Oh my gosh. Who's going to save us now?
I can't.
What up? Trying to let me drink something?
I'm trying to control myself.
Even at times when we have our elderly who's out on their way home from work, there's a hero that's watching for them too.
You know, that's what this really about.
I mean, they should have gave me a better driving test.
My God.
Even if he's a bit late, he still shows up.
Here I am. Oh, shit. You all right?
No matter when, no matter where, as long as there's danger, there he'll be, as long as it's at night. You know who it is.
Yo, you know what it is. Trying to let me drink something?
Vampires.
Yo, that was so funny. I swear to God. Listen, that was so funny. You got to tell everybody where they can see all your clips. It's on, everything you got is on YouTube. You got plenty of content up there. So why don't you tell everybody, and we'll run it at the end of the show at the bottom of the screen, but tell them real quick, because that's hysterical. Like, y'all laughing.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yo, I mean, you can catch all my content right now on Team Collective TV on YouTube. And then it's a couple more platforms that we're building up to put all the content on. So yeah, for right now, you guys can go to Team Collective TV on YouTube, and you can see all of the content that we've been producing so far.
And I'll be sure to run that at the bottom of the screen at the end of the show. So, all right, so let's get down to the show. Entrepreneur Pinks and Blues. The pinks are your highs, and the blues are your lows. And as an entrepreneur, it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's never anything that we got a blueprint for. We have to figure it out as we go on. We have to learn how to, create an income, create for our family, an income for our family, an income for our lifestyle. We have to use our imagination. We have to use all of our resources, whether we have them or not. I mean, you have to be so many multiple things in order to make it work, right?
Correct.
And I know every entrepreneur has a story, and I know you have a story. So let's start with that. Why don't you tell me how your entrepreneur, how did you become it? What made you start to, and how did you know you were going to be one? I know you're so gifted and talented, so I know you always had that inkling to just do what you were born to do. But how did you learn how to take that and channel it into a way that, you can make money for yourself? That's the ticket.
Well, I mean, I guess for me, it started as a kid. I was, my grandfather, I was fortunate to have a grandfather who didn't mind getting me anything I wanted, as long as I bought him something towards it. So his thing was, it's a couple of avenues as a kid where you can make money legally without getting yourself in trouble. And that's one was bagging groceries, and another one was doing caddying at the golf courses. And so I'm from East Orange, New Jersey. So we had this really big golf course in Weekway in Newark section. Well, the Weekway section in Newark, New Jersey. So we used to go out there. We used to do caddying for all the rich people, you know what I mean, get tips like that. Or we would go to the grocery store. So I was always taught from a young age that, if you wanted something, you got to contribute to it. So my grandparents wasn't ones that would just give it unless you came with them like, something costs $100, you got to at least bring me 50. Right. And so he instilled that in me to, get out there and get it for yourself. And then, which was like reverse psychology, because once he told me how much I needed to bring him in order for me to get it, I made more than what I needed to get from him. So then I went ahead and just got it myself. And then he would say, all right, bet. So the next thing you want, let me know. If you don't got it, this is how we'll do it. And so it just kept that thing in me to know that, if I do it for myself, then I'll always win, as long as I keep that mentality. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. So there we have it. The seed was planted. You had an understanding of earning, creating, all rolled up into one, and you were so young, and he poured into you with that, and you were able to take that and continue with it and grow it into your own thing. So tell me how that translated into you, an adult now. Well, first of all, I know I didn't say everything that you do, because what people don't understand is that I try to figure out how you fit so many things in just a regular week. Because every time I talk to you, you here, you there, you everywhere. You like, what's that? The thing, the Where's Waldo thing? Like, you everywhere. You doing everything. And I know you getting up and you doing a 9 to 5 on top of it. Plus you pulling daddy duty and everything. Talk to me. Tell me how you do everything that you do. Where that energy and that strength and that resilience and that intelligence, all of that comes from. Just talk about yourself. We want to know all about you. Go ahead.
Well, that I can contribute to my dad on that one, because, he was a guy that just taught me like hustle. Like, he just taught me, we would go back and forth to New York, and we would buy things from wholesale and bring it back over and, sell it for retail. So he kind of was the one that kind of molded me into, having to get up and go in order to get it, like not staying in one place, being willing to not be stagnant, like travel.
Right, don't wait for it to come to you.
Yeah, like go get it and then get it for yourself. Like, have more than one way to get to where you're trying to get to. You know what I mean? So I can contribute that to him, man. And, but as far as like translating over to an adult and like everything that I have going on, I think the thing that drives me the most is that, growing up, depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you that, you can only do one thing at a time. But I've never been wired that way. Like, my mind doesn't even operate in the sense of one thing. I think having one thing is too close to having nothing. Like, it could be easily taken away. So I don't do all these different things at one time out of fear of loss of anything. You know what I mean? It's
That's
just that
good. That's good.
I do it all because it's what's in me to
it's
do.
How you were wired, right?
Yeah, I'm wired to make sure, because, as men, they tell us that we can only do one thing at a time, but that's not how we are by nature. By nature, we're able to love multiple things at one time. I think society has put us in a box where we're not allowed to be that type of a
That's
thinker
right.
as a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
they expect us to only be a one-trick pony, and as that one-trick pony, you got to be nice in that one trick. But if you got a few tricks in your bag, then they don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Then they want to say like you too much, you got too much pride, ego, and things like that. So I don't even like to tell people all the things that I do, because doing that, either it's a couple of things. Either they say they don't believe you,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they
We
think
can't.
that you're bragging.
Yeah, we
And
don't
then,
have haters on this show. You gonna tell me everything that you do because that's what you're here for. I want you bragging. Okay? Let me tell you something. There's somebody out there right now who needs to hear everything that you do because they've been thinking, I want to do it, but everybody's telling them the same thing that they told you. And it's
right,
holding them back because of the fear that's been conditioned in their mind, right? So
right,
why don't you break some of these glass ceilings? Tell people all that you're doing. And sincerely, I could vouch for you. I know you're doing them. And I know how talented you are. And you're intelligent. And you mentor me. And so wise about it. And you're younger than me. Which I don't necessarily like that part. I don't like that shit. Because you younger than me. But I be coming to you like, what should I do? But you always there. And you so smooth with it. So go ahead and brag a little bit on yourself. And I don't want to call it bragging. But
right.
help the next person get to the next level by showing them it could be done.
I bet. So I guess for me, I think it's just that thin line. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, who needs to hear this right now, like who's watching, whether you're a male. I like to talk to the men when it comes to that particular portion, because I believe as men, we're only valued as what we can give. Like we're only as valued as what we could give. We barely get any unconditional love. Like, unconditional love is not really set up for a man unless it's by his mom. You know what I'm saying? Maybe people in his family and stuff like that. But anything outside of that, when you come to facing the world, unconditional love is not guaranteed to us, unless we provide some type of service that gives us, that shows our value, we're not that. So that's why I would say to anybody out here, no matter how many different things you feel like that you are able to do, but you don't feel like you should because of fear or anything else, my thing is that you don't know what you could do until you do it. Like, do it, and then let it tell you no. Like, let the universe tell you no. Don't tell yourself no.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because so many times, we think that we're supposed to go one way, and then you never know. One of your gifts or one of your talents may wind up bringing you more into the forefront, where you have to focus on that talent, but at least you didn't leave no rock unturned when it came to yourself or learning who you are, because we got greatness inside of us, man.
All of us, that's right.
And then when you don't take the time to explore that greatness, you only put yourself in a mediocre, kind of place.
Yeah, and that's a terrible mentality to try to live life on. Mediocrity is a terrible place to live, because you can feel it inside of you bubbling up, and then you just never let the top off. I mean, that kind of stress can really depress a person. So
facts. And you gotta be willing to, step outside your comfort zone too.
Right.
I think saying what you stand on morals and principles when it comes to yourself. If there's certain things that you're not willing to do, be willing to stand on that. And just be willing to stand on that. Don't let no amount of money or nothing cause you to not stand on your square. I think that's the number one thing. Be willing to say no sometimes.
Yes.
And I think that's the main thing when it comes to this business, is that it's okay to be able to say no. Like, you don't have to take every opportunity that comes your way, because it's not always an opportunity.
Right.
So just be willing to have enough open-mindedness to use your discernment, I think, when it comes to life and what you feel like you should do. Because, like I said, I do so many different things, but, the average person don't understand a person like me. So telling them stuff is not really what it is, because the vision has been given to you, not to other people. So sometimes you don't want to tell people everything. You know what I mean? Because, people do operate in the shadows and in the darkness too, when their life is not going the way that they want it to go.
Right.
And
that's
the least
so
amount
true.
of information you give them, the least that they have to stand on to try to, send those things your way. But we gotta think about it from this standpoint too. As a man, they automatically expect you to fail, because nobody really wants you to win as a man anyway.
Right.
You gotta be willing to go into everything understanding that right there. Like, even the people that is closest to you, they don't really want you to win because in fear of what that might lead them in your life.
Don't make
You
me
know what I mean?
stop. All right, listen. So just real quick though, I just want to just get in the middle of this and say two things. Number one is, even if you try something because you feel like it, there might be a reason that you're trying it. There might be an experience or some kind of information that you're going to pull from it, whether you continue with it or not, to use it to go to your next level. It's
Right.
kind of like going to the library. I mean, you're not taking on every single book. You're only going to need one book or two books, right? But, the time that you spend there learning, you can use it. And then also, I would like you to elaborate on this whole waiting for a black man to fail, because I think that's a great transition into the blues, because I'm sure that you have had to face some things now and forevermore, some obstacles that are truths, right? That
Yeah.
people don't want to speak about, but they're real truths.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we need to do. We need to get down into the nitty gritty, the dirt of it. But before we do that, before we go over and talk about those blues, because I'm going to hear that, because that sounds like that's been definitely a hurdle that you've had to jump over multiple times in order to keep going and get where you're going, right?
Right.
But I would like to, only to where you feel comfortable, can you tell people the things that you do? Because I know how we met. We met doing the whole, looking into the whole real estate thing, right?
Right.
But,
right.
I don't know, as time goes on, you get to know somebody, and I'm like, wait a minute. But then when somebody actually sees you doing it and sees the gift,
It's different. Yeah.
it's different.
It's a lot different when you tell them. Like, upon meeting somebody, the first time they say something like, well, what you do? Like, wherever setting I'm in, that's what I do. So, like, when I first met you and I was, like, what do you do? It's like, well, I do real estate. You know what I mean? Like, what are you looking to do? Well, right now I'm looking to wholesale. You know what I mean? I'm taking my step to get into wholesale. I'm in a real estate meeting. It wasn't my place to come in and be like, yo, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. I do music. I got clothes. I produce a comedy show. Or and just all these different type of things. It's like when I come off and it's like, yo, I got my own fragrance company where I have oils that are based with aloe, and I have over 1,000 fragrances. I got my own lotions, shower gels.
That's why your
soap.
skin be looking all smooth and everything.
Yeah, I got
Anyway,
all
ahead.
I got all these different things. You know what I'm saying? Like black soap. We deal with all the different type of butters: mango butters, tangerine butter. Shea butter, cocoa butter. So like I have all of these different products, even contact lenses. We go through different color contact lenses. And then on top of the thing that I didn't say that I do mostly is filmmaking, which is short films, comedy skits, and then eventually into full-length films. Is the ultimate goal. On top of real estate. So all of these things that I do encompass, and I also do music too. So another thing about music, I've been doing that since I was 18. So I've toured, I've done shows with everybody you consider huge. I worked with almost every record label except for like maybe Arista, I think, at one point, and so many other different things. When it comes to that, I was the second black licensed ring announcer in the state of North Carolina. So I used to do ring announcing for all the professional fights, boxing, MMA, and all of the even amateur boxing. So a lot of the people that are really big household names right now, I've called their fights.
Nice.
So I've done all of these things. I've hosted television shows. I actually got a podcast called Sparking Conversation.
That's right.
And I've done a top 10 music video countdown show for independent artists. I've done, the list goes on. And like I said, that was about 15, 16 different things like right there. So upon meeting a person, right, I don't run all those things down and say, this is all I do or I've done.
And everything ain't for everybody. So some people, they have no interest in that. So you got to kind of feel your way around people. Like with me, all of that is exciting, but I'm pretty much into the real estate and the comedic, the short films and the shows you put on, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's it for the most part. Like I said, just being willing to like not get rid of your imagination. I mean, they tell you at what age you're supposed to grow up, but we lose our imagination after a certain point. When
Yeah.
bills start kicking in, and people have children
Real
and stuff
life.
like that, they which is not really real life. I mean, like if you really kind of look at it, I think people look at it as a sense of, oh yeah, now my life is different, when it shouldn't be. Your life should be, you should be able to use more imagination, because when you have children as an adult, you're going to have something to be able to understand what's going on with these kids, so you can keep up with them, so you can protect them. You
Right.
know, not being able to be sound when it comes to electronics, and what is the latest this and the latest that, is going to keep you in somewhere where you're going to be in court or in somebody's hospital because your kids is running crazy because you don't understand what the culture is. So we got to evolve as adults
Right.
every chance we get. We cannot stay stagnant. You know what
Facts.
I mean?
Isn't that what you say? Facts.
Facts. Yeah, you gotta keep being willing to move forward, and not just be living into your age or whatever people say that. Because outside of this place, age is relative. I mean, time is relative. Age is relative. You know, your spirit is a million years old. You know, it's just bodies that we get, temporary, houses that we get while we're here on this earth. So while you here, man, it's like, what you gonna do? How you want to live? I just rather be free.
So how do you manage all of these different things? Because if you look at, like, I know they say we got 8 hours in a day, but of course entrepreneurs have way more than 8 hours in a day. Right. But how do you balance and manage all of that? Because the thing is, some people can have a lot of stuff going and it's messy. There's always chaos behind it. There's no organization. But I've been to a couple of things and I've watched a few things, and so organized and so put together. I don't know if you research it before you pull the trigger. I don't know if you just go in there and dig around and kind of feel your way through the dark, but just have the mind of excellence so that it evolves into excellence quickly. Tell me, tell them. I want you to tell them, because there's somebody out here right now. How do you manage all of those things without becoming overwhelmed, without falling into the sloppy category or the messy category?
I think for me, the thing that keeps me more balanced when it comes to juggling so many different things is respect of time. And I think what that means is that, I look at everything I do as a hustle. Like, even when it comes to the 9 to 5, like, I don't look at it as a job. I just look at it as a hustle. So even during that time, I'm looking at it as a way of structure. So, all right, for this amount of time, I got this. So once I'm done with this, I got this amount of time, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to take this time off and I'm going to do this. So for me, it's more of I have to follow the vision. And I think that's what allows me to move forward, is that I really get these visions. I don't just wake up one morning saying, you know what, I'm going to try this. Or, you know what, I'm going to try that. A lot of things, I do one thing and it leads me into something different. I was doing television shows, and because I was doing television shows, a guy saw me and he asked me would I do ring announcing. He gave me a couple of test runs, they liked it, and then I was the guy that was going to, until he moved up in sponsorships, and then those sponsors was like, of course they didn't want to see me in all the major fights anymore, because now people were coming as if I was a part of the show. And they didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? So they wanted to keep it around. But I mean, which is cool. But like I said, one thing leads to another sometimes. Like for clothes, like when I was doing filming, it was like, well, not that. Doing music. So doing music, you got to brand yourself. So it was always like, I bet, what's the best way to advertise? Advertising yourself. So I've been making shirts since, just with branding, doing music. And then I realized, like, okay, bet, now when I'm filming, I don't have to wear other brands. I don't have to promote for free. I can leave myself open enough to where I can create enough buzz for myself that if a brand wanted me to wear their clothes, they would do a deal with me, versus it looking like I'm using their clothes to look cool, whether it's Nike, Adidas, or whatever. So that's what kept me in that mindset. So that's why I say it's the vision. A lot of times, I'm going to tell any man that's looking, I mean, ladies, I'm not trying to single y'all out at all. I'm just saying,
right. But we're going to have our day, right. Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all might have a son or a significant other in your life, brother, uncle, whatever. I just want you to understand, like, you may not understand their drive, but their drive has come different because we're visionary. Everything comes from to here. Logical thinking, visionaries that come from there. So once you vision yourself doing something, if you got enough courage to do it, you'll find a way to balance it all. You know what I mean?
So I have a quick question. I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry to cut you off. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
All right, so and everybody that knows me knows that's the way I talk. I overlap talk. So anyway, pardon me. I really would like to know, how do you know when to stop? I mean, sometimes you organically transition from one thing to another. That you said, like somebody saw you, they said, "Can you run a mile?" But how do you know when enough is enough, and when your no is a sentence, and you just it's time to move on? And how do you go about it? Because some of us, I'm a damn train wreck when it's time to transition. If I don't like something, I'm breaking it up. I'm causing confusion. I'm just like, I want out. This is basically an emotional temper tantrum, right? But you can't do that as you become an adult. As you get older and you have things going and you have a reputation and you have a brand to protect, you have to use your mind. You have to think, right? So why don't you drop give them some tips on how to transition out of something when you've seen it as part of your vision, but it's not for you?
Just emotions. Like be willing to control your emotions. I think that's the main thing about anything that you're doing. You can't do anything based on emotion. Like, don't get into nothing based on emotion. That's even if you get into something based on money. If you get it based on money, it's emotional. Because if you don't make money, if things don't go the way that you feel like it's supposed to go, you're gonna quit. And a lot of times it's not about that. Sometimes it's the experience. And not only that, people don't understand. A lot of times when you're doing something, it's keeping you out of the way of something else. So you may be thinking to yourself, this ain't working for me. But my thing is that, what's the goal for what you're doing it for? You got to have a why.
Right.
No matter what you're doing in life, you got to have a why. Are you doing this? Are you doing this for yourself? Are you doing it in vain? Are you doing it for generational wealth?
Showing
are you doing
off?
it for... So you got to have a why. And once you break down your why, that'll help you to know how to transition from one thing to another. All I'm going to say, if it's something that was given to you to do, I don't think it's for you to have to quit. I think what happens is you have to figure out what your expectations are for what you're doing. Like, for example, if you do music and your goal is to be in the music business, then I would say study music business, not focus on your art. Do your art, do what comes natural to you, but I would say learn the business. Because if you learn the business, then you can get into the music business. Right. But if you're doing films, it's like, if you're going to get into the film business, if you really want to go to Hollywood, if that's your thing to go to Hollywood, then you have to invest in what it takes to get there. Whether it's acting classes, headshot, you know what I mean? So you got to be willing to invest in it. So what does that mean? That means that you need to have funds available to put you in a place where you can learn more. So you got to have a why. That's it. If you're doing something and you don't have a reason why you're doing it, then you know what I mean? It's going to easily fall. You're going to fall to the wayside. It ain't going to work out for you, and you're going to just give it up because you don't have a reason for doing it.
Right. Okay. Now, if you dropped all that pink stuff through, all that pink around and all these good things, I got these good vibes, right? But let's get into some of the blue stuff, right?
Right.
Everybody got a story, right? We all have a story. There was a time when we was on track, and things just wasn't adding up. Things just were happening to us, but I think the tenacity, the I'm just gonna keep going. And it don't look like I want it to look, but I'm going to keep going because I can't stop. This is what I was made to do. All of these gifts, all of these ideas, all of these visions, all this motivation, I didn't make it up. I was actually born to do this. But how do you, I know you have it for instance. So how about you give us an example of one of your blues and then tell us how you came out of it. What did you do to be the overcomer?
Well, I mean, in this thing, man, you got to realize that people are going to walk away from you. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about any of the stuff that you're doing. People are going to walk away from you. You're going to think that you have people in your life that really care about you. You're going to think that you have people in your life that really support you, but really deep down inside, they really don't want you to win, and it'd be the people that's closest to you. And the reason why that hurts the most is because you can tell them how much you're doing it to include them, but all they could think about is what you're going to do without them, or like maybe you're going to leave them behind, or
Yes.
they don't. So they low key really don't want you to succeed. They show you all the signs and say, "Hey, you're going to do this," and yeah, great. But inside, you
Sabotage.
can see, yeah, you can feel it in your spirit. Like you can feel that a person really doesn't want you to succeed because they have
I
a
got
fear,
the.
within themselves that So the worst blues is that because people have literally walked away from me. It's been people who I thought would always be around, or family members who I felt like really knew me enough to understand what's going on, and even different relationships that I've been in. I've never wanted to force anyone to be in my life. And I think that has been a thing that has allowed me to still be able to get up after things like that happen and keep going, because you're not supposed to force people to be in your life. But I've learned too that, everybody, it's just not meant to be at the end of the story. Some people are just meant to be chapters in your story of life.
That's right.
And so, but it takes a lot to get to that point, because you personally, it makes you feel like a failure.
Right. You do take it personally.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's hard to not, because you really think that you're showing people where your intentions are the whole time. Mentally, they're not able to grasp it because they haven't dealt with things from their own past and their own trauma, and it's not up to us to get into each other's lives and be therapists. You know what I mean? So,
Right. It's not the other person's responsibility to make you happy. You come to the relationship as happy as you can, and then the happiness just kind of
exactly.
becomes a part of the whole world that you guys are creating to you, whether it's business, friendship, a relationship. It doesn't matter with anything.
Right.
That's the way it works. So
Facts.
I hear you. So is that one of those things in life where you just gotta kind of keep going and wait it out, and the feelings eventually catch up with themselves?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. But sometimes the feelings don't ever catch up. Sometimes you're every time you think of certain people or things that it's going to bother you, it just doesn't affect you the same way it did when it was fresh. But
Right.
sometimes it still bothers you because you know your true intentions for people, sometimes it gets overlooked with their, like I said, with their trauma. But for you like, damn, I really was telling this and I was breaking this down and I'm giving them this and I'm doing this. And so when you go into new situations, it kind of makes you like, yo, why am I gonna give all these details? It's not gonna matter. A person is gonna they're only gonna take it as far as they're willing to give you.
That's
Again,
right.
that's why I say, as a man, unconditional love is not promised to you.
Right.
Your children, yes. Your parents, supposedly, yes. But for the most part, the only way you can get unconditional love is something that actually loves you, in spite of whatever they think that you may be able to give or not give. And that, not talking about the tendency to your children or your parents. Anything outside of that,
Right.
you are
Right.
liable for them to walk away from you. And
Right.
you got to be prepared for that. Even if you're not looking forward to it, you got to be prepared for it, because people have their own version of what they feel like their life is supposed to go. And as men, you got to realize that, your value is in you knowing your worth.
Well, let's talk about that. And I know that's not necessarily playing into you being an entrepreneur, but it is playing into real life that affects how you entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So when women get hurt, I'm not gonna say that I remember hearing something a long time ago, and I'm bringing up a Bible reference. So listen, don't get mad, all right? Because don't quote me. I don't know, but I remember them saying that I think it was David. They had a baby, and one of them mourned after the baby died, and I believe that when the baby died, the man David was like, let's go, let's move on. Where the woman didn't start grieving until after the death, where the man stopped grieving after the death, right?
Gotcha.
So, men and women, and I say this to say, I don't even know if my reference is right, so please don't come at me, all right? Seriously. But the men grieve different, and they move on different, and they respond different. So for me, like, I carry my hurts and pains like a badge of honor. And I don't know why, but for some reason I'm conditioned to say, I made it through this. Look at me, my badge of honor.
Right.
I don't know. Do men do the same thing? And I'm asking because
no. We don't. That's not something that we get because people already expect us to be able to do all of these things. You know, they don't expect us to have to get to a certain part. Women, on the other hand, whenever they get to the bag or they get money or they get successful, whenever they are more operating more in a masculine energy that puts them in a place where it seems like they're winning, they will get praised for that. Not men.
Right.
Like if you do as a man,
it's like you were supposed to be doing that anyway, right?
Yeah, you don't get
Mm-hmm.
the move on in that way where you get champion for overcoming. You don't get no champion for overcoming. What you get as a man is that you get lucky enough for people. You get people in your life that'll take time to understand who you are as a person. That's the biggest thing that we could get as a man to be understood. Most people won't take that because they think that understanding you is knowing what you like to eat or knowing what your favorite drink is or your favorite color, but not how you move or what motivates you or where do you get your visions from? Like who do you follow as a man?
Your
Like,
muse,
are you following? You know what I'm saying? Are you a praying person? Do you wake up and you follow the vision? Like most women or most people outside of that man, whether it's your family or whoever, they don't take time to learn that portion of you whenever they get to know you. They just try to stick to what a routine could be. Like, could they
Y'all
see
hear
you
this,
in the
right?
same
Y'all
routine?
listening, he dropping some
do
real
they see you on
jewels.
that? So the only time that they are awakened is if something is not out of the norm. Like if you're not doing something that you normally do, then they feel like it's something wrong. But they never see the thought process or they see how you're transitioning from one place to the other to see how that causes your change. They just recognize the change.
Right.
And so that's why I say for most men, that's why I'm saying this in the sense of saying like not to separate men and women. I'm saying like we don't get an opportunity to get bigged up whenever we overcome something. We're expected to automatically overcome it or to have not gone through it in the first place.
And you know what else y'all don't do? Y'all don't brag about like me. Like I'm gonna pop my stuff. I'm trying not to curse, but y'all know how I get down. I'm gonna pop it when I do something and I come out of it. I feel like this is my badge of honor. I'm pop it. I overcame this pain. I overcame this death. I overcame this sickness. I overcame this child going through this stuff. Look at me, right? I'm showing it off. Men, I think you guys, if you do it, he's boastful, he's bragging, he's conceited, he's this and he's that, and they put you in a bad light. But in actuality, nobody's doing it for you, and then you can't do it for yourself. So how does that work?
We just don't.
And we have to make some changes out here. We're gonna have to make some changes.
You don't live that life unless the people that are in your life celebrate you in a way where it's genuine and not just celebrate you to make it seem like they could have something to talk about later. Well, I did this and I did that, but if they genuinely celebrate you, that's about as much as you can get as a man. It's for the people that are around you that you do for to appreciate you enough to celebrate you. Outside of that, you don't really get that opportunity to do that. And then bragging does nothing for you because at the end of the day, who are you bragging for? Is it the people that's in your life? The people that's in your life supposed to already know what you got going on. You know what I mean? If you're telling all the people out there who don't know you, they could care less. They're going to find something, No, but you can do that because, like I said, women.
Because I'll stand in the mirror and talk to myself. Men. It isn't.
It's not the same
kind
of
like if I walk up on my man in the mirror talking to myself like, you fabulous motherfucker, you are fabulous. Like I feel like, you being a little weird, right? Right, but I could do it all day.
Then that would be wrong too, because he might be having to talk himself into something based on childhood trauma. Because he might have been told as a kid how much he wasn't going to be nothing, how much he notched, and how he gonna be just like so and so. And these are things that we hear as kids. Remember, the first person to ever break a man's heart is his mother. It's no other woman out there that breaks a man's heart first. Men get their heart broken first from their mother. Yeah, that's why when women That's why whenever a woman sits up here and they tell a man that he can't love a woman, or love more than one woman, or he don't love women that doesn't require sex, that's why they lie. Because you get
Wow.
your heart broken by a person that you never sleep with in that sense, and you do everything else for them
But
but
the
that.
intimacy is there.
Yeah, and
It's
they
just
hit your and they
another
break
level of
your heart.
intimacy.
Yeah, and they
Mm-hmm.
break your heart. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but a lot of times you can't have that conversation with people because they don't understand that. Even if you have a great relationship with your mom, she's still been the first person to break your heart.
Wow.
As
I
a
never heard
man,
that before.
yeah,
Ever.
yeah.
And now that, because, I have sons, so, whew, well, that's a
Yeah, they
whole
whenever
nother.
they get their heart, like that's the person that
You
breaks
gonna
their
make
heart
me have
first.
to call my
So
therapist.
whenever
I'm
they
gonna
go,
have to have a therapy session behind you.
no,
Interviewing
I'm
you.
just saying, like that's the things that most people don't talk about when it comes down to it. They think that
Mm-hmm.
you walk around here with a certain type of arrogance when you really are, you're covering up the fact that the person that's supposed to love you unconditionally has said these things about you or have done
Mm.
this thing to you. So then when you
Mm.
get out here in the world and you get with other people and then they don't do it or they, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll
So it's like
automatically put you in a
the
place of where you gotta always
right.
overcome
So you
that.
reliving the disappointment, and
Yeah,
it chips away at your soul a little bit at a time, and you still having to create a whole life, a whole universe for other people to come and live in, because that's
that's
what men
right.
do.
Because you can't,
It's a
because
very difficult.
the life that you expect to already be in is not
Mm,
one that's there for you. You have to create it on your own. That's why whenever you walk into a situation with a man, understand like that. That's for anybody, whether it comes to business or anything as far as women. When y'all go into these situations, just realize that if he really loves you, then it has nothing to do with sex. Like it's nothing to do with anything
mm,
like that. Like you know what
say
I mean?
that
Like
thing. Say that
it
thing.
has nothing to do with that. It has
That's just
everything to
icing
do
on
with
the cake.
everything
Right.
else. Right, right,
Right.
right. The mental security of understanding that
That's
this
right.
person is going to always do X, Y, and Z. That's where you get the difference between
Ooh.
mama's boys and then men who have a relationship with their mother.
Being I want to say so many things, but I'm not gonna come for y'all, because that 50 plus dating out there, y'all out of hand. All right, and what he's talking about is the truth, right? What's happening out here with the mindset and the conditioning is the lie. But we're not gonna get into that, because this is turning into a mad therapy session. I got tears, anger, all of that stuff coming at me. Thank you, Rashid, so much. So
My
if
bad.
you were to drop, nah, honey, but this is what you do. You are like some kind of like Yoda type guy. Like you not know one thing. And this is why I had you as my first guest on the Grand Review opening, right?
Right.
Because you
I
not
appreciate that.
you're not breaking it down like just the typical average regular schmegular guy. You telling them truth, you giving advice, you giving some facts, you giving some emotion, you giving some love. Like, this is what an entrepreneur is. They encompass everything. It's a
Right,
lifestyle, it's a being, right? It's a whole
right,
energy, right? And the ones that are successful at it, and when I say success, you got to measure your success on how you measure success. But the
right,
ones that
right,
are successful at it, they gonna spit some love and science like this. They not gonna be able to come to you and just be like, yo, right? They gonna say something
right,
that's gonna make you walk around and have a profound thought, maybe even an epiphany and a reevaluation of yourself, because that's what it's supposed to be about, right? And thank you
right.
so much. I really do appreciate it. So before we end and everything like that, if you were to give one real point of advice to someone, what would that be?
Universally, like to anybody who has a vision, I would tell you, do not be concerned about your age. Don't even be concerned to fail. Like
Amen.
be willing to fail. Like be willing to be okay with failing. I think the moment that you realize that if you fail, like you can fail at what you're doing, it'll give you the confidence to go at things the right way. So you will go at everything trying to learn as much as you can not to fail, but being prepared that if you fail, how you can keep moving. The
Mm.
one thing about it is that people have unrealistic goals for themselves. They think that success is overnight It's not overnight. Sometimes success is 2-3 years down the road, but
Sometimes
it's
it's 10, 20 years down the
yeah,
road.
yeah,
Right.
and you got to be willing to stand on your square. And I think that's what a lot of people are not willing to do. People are not willing to stand on their square. So if I was to give anybody advice, I would say follow your vision. Like follow the vision. Don't be afraid to go within and really seek and listen to yourself. Whether you got to ground yourself, go out there, stand in the grass with no shoes on,
I love
or
that.
whatever you got to do to kind of get yourself in a groove where you can hear the vision that you're supposed to do. Everybody got a purpose. So I would
Right.
tell that person and whoever that's coming to me, no matter what it is that you want to do, we're not going to be
Whatever.
specific because it could be anything that you want to
Mm-hmm.
do. You could be wanting to be a dog trainer. I don't know
Right.
what it is,
Right.
but whatever it is that you feel like you want to do, go within. Like don't always look for something from the outside to give you the signs in order for you to move forward. You're gonna have to go within,
It comes
and
from within.
it
It
comes
comes
from within. Everything that you need to be successful is already inside of you.
right. And I think, and I'm just to add on to that, and then we're gonna sign off because I definitely gonna have you come back on here again, and maybe what we could do is, show them one or two of the different businesses that you run, and
Okay.
then talk about specifically about those particular businesses and what it takes to do them. But I want to say this, based off of what you just said, that when we imagine and have vision, if you notice that they're all designed according to how we were made. There is
Right.
somebody right now. I would never imagine building a rocket ship. I wouldn't even
Gotcha.
imagine building a car or riding a skateboard, right? Because
Right.
that's not, when I was born, that's not what was inside of me. That's not part of my soul. I will only
Gotcha.
imagine what I was designed to do. So if you're laying in the bed in the middle of the night and these things are popping in your head, and I mean, you're getting the goose pimples. I mean, you hear the crowd cheering or whatever it is. Maybe the
Right.
motor started. Maybe somebody tasted some food, and you can envision the person chewing, taking a bite, and basically having
Yeah.
an orgasm with the mouth, right? Like
Right.
it was meant. Don't get it twisted. You are supposed to chase it.
That's
Don't
right.
back down. 10 toes down, like you said. Stand 10 toes down and chase it. Don't let anybody disturb your peace about chasing your dream, because I promise you,
No,
you were created to live it.
that's right.
Right. That's what I
feel
gotta
you.
say.
I
Yes.
agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, I don't know. I gotta find a way to to figure out how to put your information down at the bottom, so people can reach you or reach out to you. At least they
Yeah,
can
just
Facebook
Google
message or
me, man.
Instagram
Yeah,
message.
Google me. Just Google RAH-1, RAH dash and the number one, and everything will pop up. You'll get links to everything, shows. You'll get links to videos, content, any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's the easiest way to get anything that you need to know from me. If you guys just Google RAH-1, RAH dash and the number one, and yeah, and you'll find a little bit of any way to get in contact with me.
And I
On
asked that.
Facebook is my name, Rashid Myers on
Mhm.
Facebook. And, yeah, Instagram is RAH-1, RAH and the number one, twice. Or RAH-1 twice on
Mhm.
Instagram. So yeah.
And I ask that you follow him or on Instagram. I ask that you subscribe to his YouTube channel. I ask that you show up to some of his shows when he has the events posted. Pop in there, cheer him on, scream out his name. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
this is a
yeah.
hard-working man. Let's show him some love by supporting him in his entrepreneurial suit. All right?
Appreciate y'all. Yeah, definitely. And thank you for having me on. It was
Anytime.
dope chopping it up with you as always.
Yes.
I
Yes.
appreciate the Entrepreneur Pinks and Blues show.
Ah, thank
And I'm
you.
looking forward to the success of your show growing and continuing to build up and all the great people you're going to have on here.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It
Thanks.
was wonderful. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Peace.